Well, good day, beloved. Good day, and welcome to Mental Health and You. I'm your host, Cynthia Tins. Wow. All I can say right now, y'all, there's a strong wind blowing out here, a strong cold wind blowing in the land, in the landscape of so many of our lives. It's impacting us mentally, physically. This is a time when those who believe in God, who believe in something beyond this world, have to hold on to it. What does that mean? How does that look like? What are the challenges, particularly in this life still? Because when it's said and done, we still got to walk out into this world. My guest today is a mental health counselor and certified peer specialist. We're going to talk about her journey. Her and I go back a ways, so this is really an honor. Without further ado, mental health specialist, peer specialist, you'll correct me. Pura Torres, y'all.
Thanks. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm so happy to be here with you, Cynthia. It's been a while, you're right.
Yes. Thank you for being a part of this ongoing experience in mental wellness, mental health. I thank you so much for accepting. As I said, I try to say in the introduction that there's a cold wind blowing.
Yeah.
I thought about that earlier. There's a cold wind blowing in the landscape of so many of our lives. So many of our lives, a cold wind in the form of mental illness. A cold wind, what does that look like, Tora? Miss Pura.
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 Yes.
What does that look like? Depression, looks like anxiety.
Yeah.
There's reports out that people are losing their jobs at record numbers, particularly people who look like us.
Yeah.
People are having a hard time finding housing. The jobs that they get, they don't know whether they're going to have it next week or within the next hour.
Yeah.
People are looking for health care, if they even have it. And people just trying to stay sane.
Yeah.
I wanted to have you on because you are a certified peer specialist as well as a mental health counselor.
Yes.
So what came first and why?
Well, what came first was I became a certified peer specialist.
Tell people, again, I've told people, what is that?
Certified peer specialist is someone who has had lived experience or has had like a family member who has had lived experience in the mental health community.
Yes.
Me personally, I've dealt with mental health challenges of my own, deep depression, anxiety. I've been diagnosed up and down with different things, from schizophrenia to bipolar. And right now, I think they're saying that my diagnosis is major depressive disorder.
Okay.
And GAD, which is generalized anxiety disorder, and I have ADHD.
Okay.
So with that, it's been a real journey through my life, having to deal with that. The depression, I believe, really set in well before I was a teenager even. I dealt with depression.
I want to get your name right. Say it again.
Pura.
Buddha.
Yeah.
Yes, that's pretty.
Thank you.
In our conversations, Buddha, we talked about your background. You growing up with a Mennonite family in Pennsylvania in some of the summers.
Yes.
For those who are unfamiliar, what is that?
A Mennonite.
Who are they?
Okay, so Mennonites are they're similar to the Amish. some people like to think of it as Amish light.
Okay.
Right, where Mennonites are allowed to drive cars, where the Amish aren't, but the Mennonites can drive cars. They dress kind of like the Amish, and they wear coverings. They're a group of Christians. They are Christian based.
Okay.
That most of them are. It's like a German background.
Yes.
Yeah, they're mainly in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Yeah.
But how did you? Were you born in Pennsylvania?
Oh.
How did you become associated?
Associated with them? Oh, well, as a child in the inner city, I have 3 other siblings,
Okay.
and before me, they went to camp. It was a sleepaway camp. It's called Fresh Air Fund. That was a fresh air child.
I remember.
Yeah. So
Yes.
as a fresh air child, they used to have a particular part of the camp. They had 2 sections. One which they still have, where the children go to like cabins in the woods, and the other one was hosted by families.
Okay.
So it was called Friendly Town. I think it was called Friendly Town. And so I was part of that, where I went to a host family. And for every summer until I was 16 years old, from the age of 4, I was the youngest ever to go, the only one ever at 4 to go to this camp at the age of 4, to live with this family during the summer, every summer till I was 16 years old. And I still keep in contact with them.
And how was that? I mean, you said you came from the intercity.
Yeah.
Now you're going out into this land, this unknown culture.
Yeah.
What was that about? And
Yeah.
how, if anything, did it impact you, your mental and your physical?
Well, you know, I've always thought of that in some ways it kind of like created a cultural crisis for me in some ways. And what I mean by that is, you know, growing up, I'm a first-generation American. My parents are
Okay.
Hispanic. My mother is from the Dominican Republic, and my father was from Ecuador.
Okay.
And so I always had a difficult time with my mother, my biological mother.
Okay.
And a lot of that was because I was growing up as an American, right? I was growing up as an American, and there were things that she didn't understand, like she didn't know how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And everybody at school had that, and that's what I wanted, right? So it created, you know, a gap between me and my biological mother, where when I went to the Mennonite family, because they were already Americanized, it just, I felt more comfortable there, and I grew to have more affiliation with like the American culture. That's not to say, I mean, I speak Spanish, but you know, I still hold on to my roots, my heritage. But yeah, so growing up, it really did create a kind of a crisis for me. I didn't know where I belonged. I didn't know how to fit in. You know, a lot of people would say a lot of things about me, you know, that I acted too white. Whatever that meant.
Yeah.
And you know, even my own siblings, they're like, they think I talk strange, like I don't talk the same way that they do.
How did that impact you? You're talking. I mean, I hear the pain. I hear the stress.
Yeah.
But how did that family, that Mennonite family, bring you into the fold, make you feel comfortable? Culturally, religious, by their faith? Did you take on their religion? Did you take on other ways of life? The way you dress, where you went to school?
Well, when I would go there, I would dress like everybody wore dresses. We weren't
Okay.
allowed to wear pants, and you know, I lived like they lived. I didn't wear a covering because I wasn't part of that church, but I was raised as a Catholic.
Okay.
So as a Catholic, I already knew a lot of the Christian, the Christian spiel, who Jesus was and God, and I was my biological mother was devout Catholic, so
Did that create any tension when you went back home to your biological mother, because being that she was a devout Catholic, as you said?
Yeah.
And you just spent the summer with the Mennonites.
No, I actually, it kind of complemented it,
Oh.
it complemented it in a lot of ways. The thing was like, that I might say was a little bit different was, I guess just that in the Mennonite faith, they don't have like statues and things like that, or whereas in the Catholic faith, they have saints and stuff. So it was, for me, that was a little bit different, but it really complemented both. And in with the Mennonite family, they just brought me in. It was a lot of love. I mean, because they lived the Word. They lived the Word of God. And they're so welcoming and so loving. And I just felt like one of their own. I still call them mom and dad.
They're so loving.
Yeah.
When did mental illness start to manifest itself?
I think.
I asked you because you said you went to them as a young girl.
Yeah.
About what age?
I started going to them when I was 4.
Okay.
I think the depression started to set in when I was about maybe around that same time, 4 or 5 years old, where I can remember distinctly my father dropping me off at the babysitter and feeling alone and just...
This is your biological father or your
Yeah.
Mennonite family?
My biological father dropping me off at the babysitter and feeling very like alone and just really in my head. And my mom used to say that when she would drop me off, I would always tell her, "Don't worry, Mom, I'll be fine. Jesus is going to keep me company."
Yeah. Wow.
And, but I do remember that distinct feeling of feeling kind of lonely and kind of isolated.
When you went back to your biological family?
When I went back to my biological
Was
family.
there ever
yeah.
any desire to stay with the Mennonite family, all things considered? And how was your
yeah.
mental health when
Yeah.
you were with them as opposed to your biological family?
I think my mental health was so much better when I was with my Mennonite family.
And why is that?
It just felt right, And I think it was this sense of love, and acceptance. I mean, it was strange because there were moments where I remember one time sitting at the table. I must have been about 6 or 7, and we had like there was another child there. I don't remember, he might have been like a family friend,
Right.
and he licked me. He licked my arm, and I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I wanted to see if you were chocolate."
Wow.
So I had moments like that when I was with the Mennonite family, but they didn't ever make me feel different. Like I was their child. I was one of them. So it just grew that way. And then I had never known my biological grandparents. Both sets of my biological grandparents had passed away before I ever got to meet them. And my camp family, that's what I call my Mennonite family, my
Yes.
camp family, my grandparents, they
Yeah.
allowed us, because my sister went to the cousins. So my sister and I, we would see each other a lot there.
Right.
And the grandparents would say, you can adopt us as your grandparents. So I had my grandpa and my grandma Hahn, and my grandma and my grandpa Brubaker, it was, we would go and visit them, and it was just really filled with welcoming and acceptance and love in that environment.
Did you ever Did they ever find out or ever suspect any depression on your part or anxiety, your Mennonite family?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it didn't. It didn't manifest. I think that they, you know, I don't know if they ever knew. When I turned 11, when I was 11 years old, my camp grandmother, my grandma Han, she passed away, and from the time of 4 to 11, she would every summer she would make sure that I had books to read. And she would, for my birthday, she would send me books. And she would always tell me, read. Reading is so important. And she passed away when I turned 11. And that was such a hit to me.
Yes.
That was the first time that I attempted suicide. I just, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. 11.
Yeah.
That's a time where we just don't know what. We're not exactly a teenager, but we're not a baby, but we are.
Yeah.
We're certainly not grown.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you mentioned 11. With filming this show in a month with Suicide Prevention Month, I wanted to put that out there as well. We call the show My Mental Health, My Faith, and This Life. Because this life can be hard.
Oh, yeah.
This life can be hard. So that's why I want to talk about what is it that how we're dealing with this. You're a woman of faith.
Yeah.
That's been very important.
Yes.
You had your Mennonite family.
Yeah.
And you had your biological family.
Yeah.
And then you also had God in all of this.
Yeah, and it was God. God was the one who's always seen me through it all.
So, 11-year-old,
Yeah.
11-year-old girl, do you remember, like, what you were thinking, what you would hope to accomplish, what kind of, I guess what I'm saying, as a peer specialist, I see this a lot. I talk about it a lot in my own work. I too have a history of anxiety and depression. We talk about this openly on this show. But as an 11-year-old, can you take me back? If it's
Yeah, sure.
what was going on that's
Well,
made you say, I didn't want to be here? Or is it that you did, but you just wanted the pain?
I was feeling a lot of pain, and I
Yes.
wanted out of the pain.
Understood.
And that's what it was. I was feeling a lot of pain. You had asked me earlier about, like, where I felt most comfortable. Was it with the
Yes.
Mennonite family or my
Yeah.
biological family? I love both my families. I would do anything for both my families. But growing up in my biological family, I always felt different. There's like a large, there's a pretty large age gap between me and my siblings. And I wasn't happy here in New York. I just didn't like the city. When I would go to Pennsylvania, I could sit out on the porch. I could go out and sit on the swings. I could take my shoes off and run through the grass.
Well, you're saying a lot, because I wish kids today in the city could experience that.
Yeah.
We need a fresh air fun again.
Yes.
We need some type of fun where kids can get out of their circumstances, at least for a few days.
Yeah.
That 11-year-old kid, what stopped you, or who did you confide in? How did anyone know about it, or did they?
Nobody knew at that time. The only person that I ever confided in, and this is even through my teenage years,
Yes.
was my father.
Your biological father?
My biological father. He was the only one I ever confided in with anything, and I didn't tell him how I was feeling, other than that I didn't want to be in New York. I didn't want to be here. I wanted to go anywhere else but here.
Yeah.
I asked to be sent to the Dominican Republic, anywhere else but here. And
So,
yeah.
you know, so is it that, and one must understand about suicide, I've come to learn and to believe that it's not that you want to die, you just want out your pain.
Yeah.
You got to understand that we just want out of our pain, out of our circumstances.
Yeah.
And as you're talking, you're telling your story, I'm thinking about all these little girls and all these little boys out here we see being over-medicated sometimes, being, all types of therapy in the hospitals, on the street, just walking, just talking to themselves, getting on types of trouble. And I want to thank you for sharing that, because somebody, I believe, needs to hear that. So going forward, what helped you after that, if anything?
After that, it took a lot of years for me to come to a place where I would go to therapy consistently. It took a lot of years. When I was 11,
was this religious? Was this a therapist in the church, or was this a licensed therapist on the outside?
Well, actually, he was a...
Or a school therapist or whatever?
No, it was a psychologist. His name was Torres. And I went to him. I was already like in my late 20s, 30s.
Okay.
And he was a Christian counselor. He was a Christian counselor. And I remember I used to go in there and I would tell him, I'm having this problem with my mother, and she's not listening, my biological mother. She's not listening to me. She's always, she makes me feel this way, and I keep trying to tell her that. And he would just sit back, relax, and just look at me, and then say stuff like, I'll never forget, I'm there, I'm harried, and he says to me, what makes you think all this time, you do the same thing, that she's going to change? What makes you think that, she's going to change? And I just had to stop. I stopped and I was like, wait a minute, it hit me. It at that point it hit me, like, here I was. I'm trying to move I'm trying to move a mountain, or
Yes.
I'm trying to move, something that's immovable, that's out of my control. I'm trying to change my mother, when in actuality I need to change myself.
Yeah.
I need to make the changes that I want.
What did that look like, and when you had that revelation? And when did you have it? After you left the office, or you didn't have it in? Did you have it in the office, or after you left him?
Probably after I left him, but I tell you, it freed me.
Yes.
It really freed me,
Yes.
because at that point,
And what did that freedom look like?
it looked like love for my mother.
Your biological mother.
Yeah, and the thing was that for a long time, I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed to say I was a terrible, terrible daughter to my biological mother. I was horrific.
Why were you a terrible daughter?
I put my mother through a lot. I made my mother cry. I did some really mean things to my mother that should have never been done. She wasn't that kind of a person that deserved that. And what it was is I always felt like she resented me, like she didn't really want me. And
You probably didn't know at the time, but she probably had a whole lot of pain she was dealing with too.
yeah,
Unhealed pain
yeah,
that she was dealing to. And this is how our parents oftentimes manifest themselves
Yeah.
to our children.
That's true.
You know, you got parents, you got a mother, you got a father
Yeah.
who are dealing with their own pain. Oftentimes, I say, in my experience, they pass that on to their children,
Yeah.
whether they know it or not.
Yeah. That's that's
So that's why-
generational.
Generational trauma.
That's right.
So that's why you like going to the Mennonites. You like being there because there you felt a peace that you didn't feel at home.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
So you're getting older now. You're becoming a young woman.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one thing, okay, but now you want to be a therapist. You want to get into you want to be a certified peer specialist. Didn't you have enough of this mental health stuff? Don't you just want to go run into the hills and just run to a beach, run to the water and just...
You know,
I know this is where you're in this, we talk about this life now, because we got the mental health, we got the faith, but then we also got this life.
Mm-hmm.
So we can run, but you can't hide.
That's right.
There's a mental health case on every corner in New York, in case you haven't noticed, okay? I said it, okay, and I'm not taking it back. So you may want to run from it, but it is there. Mm-hmm. You got to deal with it one way or the other, or it's going to deal with you. Mm-hmm. So be that as it may, you still became a mental health
counselor.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you were a certified peer specialist.
Yes. Yes.
And then recent years, you became, you went back to school.
Yeah. Yeah.
What made you want to do that move?
Well, throughout my teenage and adult years, when I wasn't in therapy, and I had a really bad psychotic break from 18 till about maybe 28 or so, it wasn't so. During that time of that psychotic break, I'm losing my train of thought right now.
Listen, I'm not going to. This is a lot.
Yeah.
That's why we got to come back.
Okay.
I'm going to have you back, but I'm being told that we got to go.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. Don't ever be sorry. But I want to thank you for being a part, Pura, of this show.
Oh, sure.
And I want to thank Bronxnet for giving us this platform. And I want to thank you for being a part of this wonderful experience of mental health in you. Now go take care of yourself. Thank you, beloved. For Mental Health from You, I'm your Cynthia Timms. Take care.